Lauren, you haven't already. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry for the late start this morning. Jude was going to do today's service, and he unfortunately has injured himself. And he's okay. He's like alive and talking and everything, but he's still in the hospital for back injury. So Rick and I are going to jump in at the last second, and so it might be a little chaotic. But I appreciate you all sitting and waiting as we get the last minute stuff ready. Welcome to Channing Unitarian Universalist Church. We're glad you joined us for worship today. Whoever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation or gender identity, you are welcome to worship here and become part of our community. I'll keep the announcements short since we started late. We are collecting children's clothes, diapers, shoes, and boots for the emergency shelter here in town. Anytime we have a service or an event, please feel free to make any donations that you want, and the state is to come and pick them up on Monday mornings. We also started our sharing shed, so if there's other things that you don't need, that you want to share with neighbors, that's available for anybody, for any reason, at any time, to take from the sharing shed. I'll give more information about it another day, just because I'm trying to keep my announcements short. Does anybody else have any other announcements? As our beginnings are in the ancestors, so the beginning of the year is with this Samhain. As we welcome the new year at Samhain, so we welcome the ancestors. We invite you to us on this Samhain morning, this year's beginning, that year's end, to join us at our table, blessed dead, source of our beginning, promise of our end. We welcome you, the honored dead, whose lives now over led to ours. Welcome and greetings for those gathered here. Rick, will you help me light the chalices? We got two. We have different chalice lighting words in the order of service. I'll let you know. With sparks from heaven, we light this fire. With sparks from earth, we light this fire.
And although we must eventually extinguish them, although they cannot be eternal, they will ever burn in our hearts, a continual sacred fire into which we cast these words.
And now our affirmation.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine, thus to be covenant with each other and with God.
Can somebody just take a peek and make sure Maggie is still back there?
Yeah,
thank you. So at this time, we invite anybody who wishes to share a joy or concern with the congregation. I will start by lighting one for Jude, and hopefully he's not in too bad shape and will be back with us soon.
A joy thanking everyone who helped put the service together last minute. It was a lot of work, and the whole place was buzzing. It was wonderful. Just getting together.
And also a candle for Maddie, who walked in the door, and I said, "So you want to play some music today?" She wasn't preparing to. Yes. Any others? Donna?
Concern for my neighbor who is having surgery last week to get rid of 7 kidney stones.
Oh my goodness. So maybe 7 candles for her. Yes.
Can I make an announcement?
Oh, yes, please.
I'm good for it, and I will see everybody with the cards for food for the food basket, and we're also asking for scratch cards. And it says to scratch cards on the card, if you can, that's fine, and if you can double it or more money in the ticket, that would be fine also.
Thank you. So for anybody who didn't hear all that, Donna is handing out assignments for anybody who wishes to contribute to our raffle prizes at the holiday fair. So see her afterwards and she'll get you. Any other joys and concerns? Yes.
I'd like to light a candle for Carol Norris, who is home and she's doing well. And another one for Marina, who started, last week.
Yes.
I'd like to light a candle for Joy, for Micah, who was born last Friday, and it's gonna be here, because I keep them.
Anybody else wish to share a joy or concern? All right. Rick, would you like one last one for all those that people wish to keep to themselves? So now if you'll join us in singing Spirit of Life as we take a moment to reflect on our joys and concerns. And after that, the kids will be there for you. Sorry, number 123 in your hymnal for the folks who are new. Spirit of Life. So if any of the kids who want to participate in our little parade, I know there's a lot of new people here, so we'll explain what we're doing. We usually have all the kids who want to participate, there's no obligation. They line up and we play some music and they kind of parade through the sanctuary so everybody can see their costumes. And then they go out to the back and they enjoy games and crafts and lots of other Halloween things.
on your side.
I think that's my favorite part, seeing all the kids in costumes. So now it's time for us to collect our offerings. Come and make offerings, poems or prayers well said, songs or steps well prepared. The deities see, the ancestors watch, the land spirits look on, and they will hear you. Come, make offerings. Dedicate the offerings that everybody so generously gave to the church. For those of you who aren't familiar, the offerings that we take run this facility essentially. It pays for the electricity, pays for NAB services, it helps support our outreach efforts and the religious exploration program for the kids. So we deeply appreciate it when people are so generous. So to dedicate our gifts, we will sing Spirit of Truth. I have no idea if it's in the hymnal, to be perfectly honest. So for those of you who haven't been here very much, the words are in the orders of service. Do your best. So as I mentioned, Jude was originally going to do the service, and I don't know what he was going to talk about. I have no idea how he was going to conduct it. Clearly, he had some plans. So I apologize that we're not going to get to see and hear what he had to present, because it's way better than anything I have to say today. But I will say that we usually do the celebration for Halloween each year, and we take it as an opportunity to remember our loved ones who have died before us. And there's a lot of religious and cultural holidays that do something similar. Today, I know that Jude was going to do it in the Celtic holiday style for Samhain, and there's a lot of overlap between how we celebrate Halloween and how the ancient Celts celebrated Samhain, because the Christians adopted a lot of practices from the ancient Celts when Christianity started to take hold. So a lot of the stuff that we do seems very familiar. We do it anyway for the more modern celebrations. But most cultures take this, at least in the northern hemisphere, when all of our crops are dead and we've completed our last harvest and all the leaves are falling down. You look around and that's what you see. You see death everywhere. And it's also considered the new year. If you follow the pagan wheel of the year, Samhain is the new year, and I thought that it was interesting that they choose to begin the year with death. And what a strange idea, right? We would start with something that is, one of our more painful aspects of life. And Rick and I were talking about it yesterday, and if you have anything you want to add, feel free. But you can't have life without death. You need the leaves to fall off the trees and decompose in the ground because they fertilize the earth so that the new crops can come up. We need the seeds to fall so that new plants can grow. We need our loved ones, as difficult as it is to say goodbye, when our parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, other members of our family die, it makes space in this world for new generations to be born and grow up. And so if we don't have death, we don't have life. And I guess in that context, starting the new year with death makes a lot more sense. But we want to give death its space and its respect that it's due. And so that's why we do this service where people can share about their loved ones that are gone, that we miss. And it's uncomfortable to talk about them, and it's sad, and we cry, and it hurts. But that's how we keep their memories alive, by sharing their stories, by remembering them, by including them in our religious celebrations. So that's what we're going to do. Anybody who wishes to share a story about a loved one or two who was passed on, everybody who's comfortable is welcome to do that. You can sit in your seat if you want to come up and stand here, whatever you're comfortable with. But I'll kick it off. So when I first started coming to this church, it was kind of a crazy year for me and Rick. Just a couple months before we reopened in September, because we're closed during the summer, Rick and I went on vacation with my brother and a couple of my cousins. While we were there, my cousin Kyle died unexpectedly. She was 28 years old. She had underlying health conditions, so it wasn't that much of a surprise that they would be catastrophic. But she was certainly reasonably healthy and, up on her feet, walking around. And while we were at breakfast, she had a stroke and was taken to Cape Cod Hospital and never left. And that one was very difficult because she was so young. We were there when it happened. Dot was with us. She was a very small, since she was about a year old. And that one just sticks with me more than any of the other losses that I've had in my life. So a couple months later, we started coming here to Channing Church. And then Rick's grandfather passed away around Thanksgiving. And then my Aunt Helen passed away, and we attended 3 funerals in a 9-month period. And in between all of that, there was this service here. And I think Lauren led it that year, if I remember correctly. Or maybe it was Matt.
It's entirely possible.
But it was the first time I was invited to share with a group of strangers about my cousin Kyle. And I was raised Catholic, and I never had that experience. I think Catholics do a pretty good job of funeral mass. But this opportunity to be heard and for new people to meet Kyle even after she's gone was just very profoundly changed how I grieve and how I view death. And even though it still hurts, it's been 5 years, I can see the tears in my eyes. I'm very appreciative of this place and the people here for giving me that opportunity to talk about her. We do it every year, and some year I'll probably talk about something else. But I think that this service is such a wonderful thing because it gives people that opportunity for closure and for love and space for grief and all the complicated feelings that go along with it. So thank you for listening to me and hearing about my cousin Kyle. And if anybody else wants to take a turn, I'll go sit down and you can come up or you can speak from your seat, whatever you're comfortable with.
I can get around the market. I've never stood here before. This is different. I had a great piano teacher growing up, and she was this crazy old lady. I went through a whole bunch of piano teachers, and they were all so boring, and just did the rudiments and all this stuff. And anyway, I'm sure my parents loved it because we cycled through a whole bunch of piano teachers. And one day we were at a restaurant, and this lady was just jiving up on the piano. And that evening changed my life because she took me on as her student. It turns out that she had played on cruise ships for like 10 or 15 years. But anyway, I look back and she was from a small town, and a whole bunch of us ended up being some type of like LGBTQ, like queer in some way. And it was obvious that she was more than accepting of all of us and gave us room to breathe and to grow. And it's one of those things where I said, I'll go back, I'll visit someday. And then of course, someday doesn't always, go forever. And so, anyway, I think of her every time I play piano.
Would anybody else like to share?
I don't know which one to pick. There's been a few recently. One of the reasons why I want to do so much work in the field of recovery and helping addicts is because it's been, I know a lot of people that have died from it. A lot of those people, my best friend died like 8 months ago. We went to school together. And she was my best friend for like 12 years. We went to is in school together, so it was a crazy experience. Not regular school, you're basically running around naked all day, waxing each other in the showers, learning exfoliation treatments, learning how to work on the pelvic. And then afterwards, you go work in a spa somewhere. But she was hiding her addiction. I didn't really know what she was going through until she overdosed. And they had, she helped me get my first job in town. I had another friend. I just want to, I'm not going to go through the list, but I just want to say this other one. Another friend that I met in a IOP. So it was an intensive outpatient program, and we kind of bonded over poorly sculpted things like craft time, and we were making these really poorly sculpted animals. And she was a great ally for me. She helps me clear spaces for me, with me. And her sister is one of my best friends now. She didn't know any other color than green in her wardrobe. It's very, I don't know, there's a lot of green. But she also died of her addiction. She got drunk by a river after a relapse. The water level rose and she drowned. But her funeral was one of those celebration of life. So it was uplifting, and people shared stories and laughs. And really, I think, in my opinion, the best way to have a funeral is to remember the good times and not always continue on with that. So,
Anybody else?
I'm going to talk about my friend Molly. She was 29 years old. I'm 35 now, so she passed away in 2019. And she had gotten a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, and she wasn't handling it well. She was a nurse, and she had just gone to school for nurse anesthesiology. She was going to do like the most amazing things. Anyone who knows a nurse knows that you're a nurse through and through. So she passed away right before COVID. She took her own life. Now that I'm in my 30s, I think about how much more comfortable you are in your 30s, and you have this new sense of confidence, and she'll never get to show the world all the things that she could have done. And I wish that she would have reached out to anybody, because then people would have talked her off what she was going through. We miss her every single day. I don't get to talk about her that much. It's still super painful, so I didn't want to miss this opportunity to share her. I'm not a public speaker, so I'm sorry, but thank you.
Anybody else? And you don't have to speak at the podium if you're not comfortable with that, but if you want to share something, we want to give you the space. Well, thank you, everybody who shared. It was nice to meet your friends and loved ones. For everybody else, I know you're thinking of somebody, and our hearts are with everybody in this room. We've all lost. So Rick and I have some closing words that we're going to read. This is been a quick service. That's okay, we got a long day for us.
It is a great thing to ask, Goddess Crone. A good death, a capstone of a well-lived life. Yet to you, it is such a small thing, Crone, Goddess. So I dare ask it of you, fearful one, when I see your face, may it be without fear, may it be without terror, may it be without panic. Old woman, when I see your face, may it be with understanding, may it be with courage, may it be with peace. Aged one, when I see your face, may I be brought to wisdom through your loving kindness.
When it is right for me to enter your kingdom, Lord of death, gatherer of souls, may I go gently. May I be a leaf dropping from a tree. May I be a snowflake falling from the clouds. May I be a drop of dew drying in the light of dawn, like opening my hands, like letting go, like one final gift. May it be like that.
I'm just gonna quickly say, so normally I have the organ at about half volume. It's an amazing organ that we have here, and to celebrate Halloween, because we can do something special today, I'm gonna turn the volume up a little bit. So, do not feel like you have to stay for this. If it's a little bit too loud, feel free to step out. But this should be fun. It should be just quick, but it's gonna be loud.
Sorry, I forgot we distinguished the chalice person that.
Perfect.
I forgot to put it in my notes.
Go for it.
Please follow along with me in the order of service for the extinguishing of the chalice. Lord of mountain earth and of great stone pillar, King of the land of the dead and of souls awaiting rebirth, praise to you in the silent night, in darkness ever bring us light.
Thank you, everybody. We'll start our Halloween party now.